What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best NBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now don't forget to like this video as it does let me know to continue to give you free picks every day. So make sure to like this video clicking that button down below. And if we get 550 likes, I will do another video for tomorrow. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group. And as you guys see, we actually got 19 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we're on a huge hot streak. But if you want to get 19 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $740 just yesterday. Another member who won $200 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Joey Salas 1029 who said new member, can't wait to follow them greens, and shouts out to Carl Stude 12 who said let's go. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick, and when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. And the first pick we're going to be talking about is Anthony Edwards, and this one is for points and rebounds for 36.5, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Anthony Edwards, we have seen him go in the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on January 19th faced off against Cleveland Cavaliers, had 32 points and rebounds in that matchup. January 11th faced off against Cleveland, had 30 points and rebounds, had 25 points and rebounds against San Antonio Spurs on January 12th. Then January 18th faced off against the San Antonio Spurs, had 59 points and rebounds there. And then also Utah Jazz on January 21st and had 46 points and rebounds there. So looking at that, we actually do see when it comes to Anthony Edwards, he has gone on the under quite consistently, but looking at his average over the last 5, it is also 38.4. Now you do also have to realize when it comes to these games that, you know, Anthony Edwards did have a little bit of an outlier against Spurs, having a 59 points and rebounds, which was definitely very impressive. But coming into this next matchup, Minnesota Timberwolves do face off against none other than Chicago Bulls. So it is definitely going to be an exciting game there. Now looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off with Minnesota Timberwolves come in at the 7th spot in the Western Conference. Now they have a record of actually 27 wins and 17 losses, a 61.4% win percentage there, and on top of that they are 15-6 from home, 12-11 from away, and are currently on a 3-game losing streak. So very interesting to see. You know, obviously Timberwolves have been on a little bit of a losing streak, but they are hoping and continuing to push to see if they can get back in winning stance. But they face off against a Chicago Bulls team that don't really rank too well as well, because they come in at the 9th spot in the Eastern Conference. Now they have a record of 21 wins and 22 losses. That's a 48.8% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 14-9 from home, 7-13 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak. So very interesting to see. Obviously looking at, you know, Chicago Bulls and, you know, their matchup, which is Timberwolves, both somewhat similarly matched. However, you know, Timberwolves are just that little bit extra. And coming into this matchup defensively, we do also see Chicago Bulls wise, we do see starting off with points allowed, Chicago Bulls come in at the 26th spot, actually allowing 120 points per game. And then rebounds allowed, we also do see that the Bulls come in at the 22nd spot, allowing 45 rebounds per game. So, you know, obviously Bulls don't really rank too well at restricting points and rebounds. So why do we like the under for this situation here? Now, a big reason being is that when we look at Chicago Bulls, we do actually see that they do a fantastic job at restricting points and rebounds and even assists to the guard position. So for that reason, we are definitely expecting the under for someone like Anthony Edwards coming into this game. We see a lot of value there to go on the under as well, due to the fact that, you know, when it comes to Edwards, he had a massive outlier game recently. 59 against Spurs and then 46 against Utah. And I do believe that these two games, although he is a little bit on a roll right now, Coming into this next matchup, we aren't really expecting him to do the exact same, and I do believe both of these being a very highly outlier type matchups that has pushed this line a little bit too high, that now there's a lot more value actually to go on the under. So that's one of the reasons why we do like the under, as well as we do believe it is a little bit overinflated. Now, when we look at what the pros do have to say, so PrizePicks have him for 36.5, while the pros do have him for 35.5. So it is a little bit of a different line there. But what we do still see is that even at 35.5, they have him slightly favored for the under. So that kind of works out with us there because, you know, although this line is even lower, it is still favored for the lower as well. So for us to be able to get Edwards at 36.5, I think is a massive W. Now, when we look at also, you know, his projection, they have him projected for 35.3, which is on the under as well. And for our line, which is 36.5, it is also for the under for that. So, you know, we are agreeing with the bookies. We are agreeing with the projection. And then when we look at the last 15, he's actually gone on the under in 60% of these matchups. So it is kind of a no-brainer to us. You know, all of the signs really do point towards the under for this one for someone like Edwards, which is why we do like the under. So Anthony Edwards, 36.5 points and rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about Josh Okogie. Now, this one is a PRA for points, rebounds, and assists for 7.5, and this one actually is for more. Now, looking at Okogie, we have seen him go on the over in 1 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, it is pretty interesting to see. January 14th, faced off against Chicago Bulls, actually had 7 points, rebounds, and assists there, or PRA. Then January 16th, faced off against Oklahoma City Thunder, had 11 PRA in that matchup. January 17th, faced off against Minnesota Timberwolves, had a 3 PRA in there. Then 6 PRA against New Orleans Pelicans on January 19th. Then January 21st, faced off against the Spurs and had 6 PRA there. So very, very interesting to see. Obviously, looking at that, we have seen, you know, Okogie do a fantastic job time and time again. But coming into, you know, the last 5, we have seen him struggle, however. So it is kind of working out for us because his average over the last 5 is 6.6, which is slightly on the under in this case. And when it comes to Josh Okogie and the Houston Rockets, they have themselves a very good matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, looking at, you know, the matchup between both of these teams, starting off with Houston Rockets. Now, Houston do actually rank very well at the 4th spot in the Western Conference. They have 26 wins, 15 losses under their belt, and they also have a 63.4% win percentage there. They're 15-3 from home, 11-12 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So very, very interesting to see. Now, looking at Okogie and also the Houston Rockets, they face off against a Philadelphia 76ers team that do rank 6th in the Eastern Conference. Now, they have a record of 23 wins and 19 losses. That's a 54.8% win percentage. And on top of that, they are 11-12 from home, 12-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very, very interesting to see because 76ers do rank slightly lower than Rockets, you know, compared or in comparison to their conference. But looking at Philadelphia's 76ers and where they do rank defensively, we do see 76ers rank 14th when it comes to points allowed, actually allowing 115.4 points per game. On top of that, assists allowed, we see 76ers come in at a pretty low spot as well, ranking 23rd, allowing 27.5 assists per game. Then rebounds allowed, we also do see 76ers ranking 20th, allowing 44.9 rebounds per game. So very, very interesting to see there. Obviously, looking at Okogie and also the Houston Rockets, they face off against a Philly team that struggle at restricting points, rebounds, and assists. And there's a big reason why we do like the over for this situation here is because Philly do a really poor job not only at restricting these categories, but they also do a poor job at restricting these to the guard position. Now, although Okogie has struggled over the last 5, you do also have to realize he has faced off against much tougher teams. And on top of that, his usage rate has definitely been, you know, a little bit here and there. But coming into this matchup, we are expecting an increase in his usage rate overall. Looking at the injury report, obviously Fred VanVleet is out, Steven Adams, Aaron Holiday is also expected to be out. So these injuries, I do believe, are going to help him just a little bit. But we always do know, players, they do get in that cold streak. Okogie is definitely in one of them, but we should see him bounce back, especially against a much easier matchup. Now, looking at Houston and Philly, it is also expected to be a really fast-paced game. Both teams like to push the pace, and because of that, as we've always mentioned, faster pace leads to more volume, and more volume leads to more opportunity to score, rebound, and also play make. Now, looking at Okogie and what they do have now, they don't actually have a line for him just yet when it comes to, points, rebounds, and assists. So it is kind of difficult to go off that. But what we can still see, however, is that when we look at, the line at 7.5, he's actually gone on the over in 4 out of the 15 games, so 26.7%. So yes, he hasn't gone on the over quite a lot, but I do believe that it's brought this line a little bit too low, that now with an easier matchup, with all the injuries that Houston are facing, we should see an increase in Okogie's usage rate and a little bit more of an easier matchup for him. So overall, we are definitely liking the over for this one. So definitely keep an eye out for his line. Josh Okogie, 7.5 points, rebounds, and assists for more, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting into the next pick, we're going to be talking about none other than Musa Diabate. Now, this one is for rebounds for 9.5, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Musa, we have seen him go in the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, this one's an interesting one because not only that, but looking at those 5 games, you see on January 11th, faced off against Utah Jazz, had 10 rebounds there. Then January 13th, faced off against the LA Clippers, had 15 rebounds, had 6 rebounds against the LA Lakers on January 16th. And then January 19th, faced off against Denver, had 9 rebounds there. And then 5 rebounds against Cleveland Cavaliers on January 22nd. So very, very interesting to see. Now, when we look at Musa Diabate and also the Charlotte Hornets, we also do know when it comes to this matchup that they do face off against Orlando Magic. Now, I also did forget to mention that his average over the last 5 is also 9 coming into this game. And obviously we have him for the line at 9.5, so it is slightly on the under there. But looking at this matchup more in depth, we do know that Charlotte Hornets face off against an Orlando Magic team that, looking at Charlotte and where they do rank, Charlotte Hornets have definitely struggled. They come in at the 12th spot in the Eastern Conference. They've definitely tried their best to, kind of bring this team around, but they have 16 wins, 28 losses under their belt, and they also have a 36.4% win percentage. Now, they are 7-13 from home, 9-15 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very, very interesting to see from there. Now, when we look at their matchup, which is none other than against Orlando Magic, they are in the same conference, but Orlando do rank a little bit better as they rank 7th, actually having a 23-win, 19-loss record with a 54.8% win percentage. Now, they are 13-6 from home, 9-11 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So it's definitely very, very interesting to see when it actually comes to, Charlotte and Orlando, due to the fact that it is a matchup between 2 Eastern Conference teams. Now, looking at Orlando Magic and where they do rank defensively, we do actually see rebounds allowed starting, with Orlando Magic and how they've done so far this season. They do rank 11th when it comes to rebounds allowed, actually only allowing 43.2 rebounds per game. So they are a great, great rebounding team, and that's just kind of a no-brainer reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, when it comes to someone like, obviously Musa Diabate, what we also do know when it comes to him is that, his usage rate out there can definitely be a little bit, I would say, unpredictable at times. And the matchup against Orlando not only just do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds to his position, but Orlando do like to play a slower pace type basketball. Now, because of that, we do very, very much like the under because, as we've always mentioned, slower pace games leads to less volume, and less volume leads to less opportunity to actually rebound. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for someone like, Musa Diabate coming into this game. And looking at what the line they do have him for in the pros, they have him for 9.5, which is interesting to see as well. So same line, and when it comes to that, they have him projected for the under as well. So it isn't just only us, they have him projected for the under, which I think is fantastic to see. Now, when we look at this matchup, not only do they have projected for the under, but when you look at the projection from, the pros themselves, they also have them predicted at 8 rebounds. So the bookies agree with us, the projection agrees with us, and that's just kind of a no-brainer reason why we are definitely liking the under for this situation here. And we don't really see that changing, and we see a lot of confidence coming into this next game for the under for someone like Musa Diabate coming into this matchup. So with all those things being said, slower matchup, slower pace of the game, all these different things, we are definitely liking the under for it. So for that reason, Musa Diabate for, 9.5 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about Norman Powell. So Norman Powell, great player. And this one is for 29.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And this one is for more. Now, looking at Norman, we have seen him go in the over in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, we also do see January 14th faced off against the Phoenix Suns, had a 35 PRA there, or points, rebounds, and assists. January 16th faced off against the Boston Celtics, also had a 31 PRA in that matchup, had a 27 points, rebounds, and assists against Oklahoma City Thunder on January 18th. Then 27 points, rebounds, and assists against Golden State Warriors on January 20th. And then also, or most recently, January 21st, faced off against Sacramento Kings and had a 27 PRA there. So very interesting to see. But when we actually look at Norman Powell, we do also know that, when it comes to Norman Powell, Miami have themselves a very interesting matchup against the Portland Trailblazers. Now, looking at Miami and Norman specifically, we do know his average over the last 5 is 29.4, so slightly on the under there. But looking at the matchup and where both of these teams do rank, starting off with Miami have definitely, unfortunately, have had a little bit of a, kind of middle of the season, because they were doing very well at the start, but it definitely has changed just a little bit. Now they find themselves actually in the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference, where they have a record of 23 wins and 21 losses. That's a 52.3% win percentage there. On top of that, they are 15-7 from home, 8-14 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. Now, as we mentioned before, their matchup, they face off against Portland Trailblazers, where Portland come in at the 9th spot in the Western Conference. Now, they have a record of 22 wins and 22 losses. That's a 50% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are also 12-10 from home, 10-12 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So very interesting to see there. Obviously, looking at Portland, we definitely have seen them, do a pretty decent job as well, and surprise a lot of people with just how well they have done. But when we look at Portland Trailblazers, obviously this is a PRA, and looking at Trailblazers and where they do rank, they do actually rank 22nd when it comes to points allowed, actually allowing 118.2 points per game. Then when we look at assists allowed, we see that they rank 15th, actually allowing 26.8 assists. Then rebounds allowed also do face off against none other than actually Portland, as we mentioned, but Portland do rank when it comes to rebounds allowed. They do rank a little bit, in a similar position, but still rank a little bit better, as they rank 15th, allowing 43.6 rebounds per game. So, as we mentioned before, when it comes to Portland, we definitely see them rank a little bit better in rebounds, but overall, Trailblazers do rank pretty low. And because of that, we are definitely liking the over for someone like Norman Powell here. When we look at Portland, we also do know that they struggle at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to Norman Powell's position, so we should see him be able to take advantage of it coming into this game. Now, Norman has definitely done a pretty decent job over the last 5 games, and looking at, where looking at this matchup more in depth, we do also see when it comes to Norman Powell's usage rate over the last couple of games, and also just with this team, it has definitely increased as time has gone on. We definitely have seen Norman take a much bigger role for Miami, and it has definitely kept them alive a little bit. Now, obviously, looking at the matchup as well, we do know a couple of injuries like Khalil Ware, Tyler Herro, Terry Rozier are out for this game. So it is definitely going to have somewhat of a little bit of effect for someone like Norman to be able to get that usage rate that he wants. But overall, we definitely do like the over. And looking at Norman Powell and what the pros do have to say, now they do have him for 30.5. So it is a little bit of a different line there. However, what we still do see at this is that they actually have him favored for the over, even at 30.5. So it actually works out better for us. The fact that we are able to get him at 29.5, it does definitely show that we are getting him for a very good deal, because they have him much favored for the over, even at 30.5, which I think is great. Now, when we look at the projection, however, we are going a little bit against that, because the projection that they do have for him is 29 points, rebounds, and assists. So it is slightly on the under. Obviously, we have him for 29.5, so we are going against the projection here, but going with the bookies. And then when we look at the last 15 games, he has been pretty 50-50 when it comes to over and under for Norman Powell. He's going on the over in 46% of those matchups, so pretty much is going on the under in around, 54% of those games, so almost 50-50 there. But we definitely still see it as matchups are most important, and with this matchup against Portland, we should see Norman have no struggle here. So for that reason, Norman Powell for 29.5 points, rebounds, and assists for more, I think is a fantastic pick. Getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about Cooper Flagg. So Cooper Flagg, this one is a great one for points and assists. So another combo one for 24.5, and this one is for less. Now looking at Cooper, we have seen him go on the under in actually 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, we see on January 9th, faced off against Utah Jazz, had 34 points and assists in that matchup. Then also on January 11th against Chicago Bulls, had 13 points and assists there, had 32 points and assists against Brooklyn Nets on January 13th. Then January 15th, faced off against Denver, had 7 points and assists there, and then 21 points and assists against New York Knicks on January 20th. Now looking at that, we have definitely seen Cooper go on the under, as I've mentioned, in 3 out of the last 5, but his average over the last 5 is also 21.4. So it is slightly below this line as well, so it does definitely work out in our favor there. But Dallas Mavericks do have themselves a very good matchup against none other than the Golden State Warriors. So it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams for sure. Looking at where both of these teams do lie, however, starting off with the Dallas Mavericks, Dallas come in at the 12th spot in the Western Conference. Now they have a record of 18 wins and 26 losses. So very, very interesting to see there. They also have a 40% or 40.9%, win percentage there, with 13-11 from home, 5-14 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So Mavericks are doing their best to try to stay alive and to definitely try to get as many wins under their belt as they can. And coming into this matchup, we do also see when it comes to, Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks, they face off against a Warriors team that do rank 8th in the Western Conference. Now, they have a record of 25 wins and 20 losses. That's a 55.6% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 17-7 from home, 8-13 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very, very interesting to see. Now, looking at this matchup more in depth, we do also know that when it comes to actually Cooper Flagg, that he faces off against a Warriors team that do rank, starting off with points allowed, they do rank 10th when it comes to points allowed, actually only allowing 114 points per game. So they don't really allow a lot of points there. And then assists allowed, we see that the Golden State Warriors also do rank, pretty and decently well as a rank 14th, allowing 26.7 assists per game. So very, very interesting to see there. Obviously, looking at that overall, we have seen Cooper Flagg, go on the under quite consistently, and the fact that they face off against another tough matchup like the Golden State Warriors, we should see him go on the under once again. For Cooper Flagg, it's definitely going to be, a pretty interesting matchup because he is one of the star players for this team, especially with Anthony Davis out now. A lot of the attention is on Cooper, and with Golden State Warriors and the defensive sort of matchups that they do like to run, they do like to hone in and focus their defense on star players. So that's what we are expecting to happen coming into this next game for sure. Now, when we look at Cooper as well, what we also do know coming into this matchup is that, Dallas face off against a Golden State Warriors team, where Golden State Warriors as well, although they are down Jimmy Butler, we don't really see that affecting their defense that greatly. Now, looking at what the pros do have to say, obviously points and assist wise, we do know we have, Cooper Flagg at 24.5, but the pros do have him for 23.5. So there's a little bit of a different line there. However, what we also still do see, even at 23.5, they have him favored for the under, or the bookies have him favored for the under. So that actually works out in our favor there. It's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation for someone like Cooper Flagg coming into this game. We definitely see him going on the under in this situation here due to those reasons. So I definitely would keep an eye out for someone like Cooper Flagg coming into this game. See a lot of value there to go on the under, especially with the matchup, that he does face off against. And looking at the projection, they have him projected for 23.6. Now, at 23.6, that is still on the under. I know it does say over here, but that is actually for the under for us since we have him for 24.5. So, I do believe that change in line makes a massive, massive difference. On top of that, last 15 games, we do also see that he is favored, pretty evenly between over and under. Gone on the over 53% of those games, so gone on the under in around 47%, so roughly. And because of that, we do see that big 50-50. So for that reason, we do or very much like the under for this situation here for someone like Cooper Flagg coming into this game. So Cooper Flagg for actually, 24.5 points and assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick.